Hey guys, welcome to Rehab Wallet's Masterclass. We're so excited to have our friend Josey here with us. We're thrilled to have her. Listen, before we jump into some intros, our main mission here is to help business owners and real estate investors overcome obstacles, thrive in any market, and grow their business with success. That's our main focal point here. Hi, my name is Kelli Garrett. I am one of the co-founders of Rehab Wallet. I flipped for almost 18 years myself, and so we opened up Rehab Wallet, a short-term lending company here in the Southeast through the lens of a flipper. So I live in beautiful Charleston, South Carolina, and yeah, that's just a little bit about me. Susie, I'll let you intro yourself, please, ma'am.
Yes, good morning. I'm Susie Balda. I'm the director of sales here at Rehab Wallet. I've been part of this amazing company for almost 3 years. I live in Charlotte, North Carolina. I had the pleasure of meeting Jen and her husband, Vance, just a couple months ago, and what a treat it was. So we are just delighted to have you here and spend the next hour with us.
So, listen, let me try to do a bio on this woman. Okay, obviously we're friends. We met at a local mastermind. I believe in relationship building. I believe in being in the same rooms gets you a lot of places, and creates a lot of growth. And so I sat with these people for many years at a table and just really got to know them and respect them wholeheartedly, and a lot of different reasons why. And you're going to see why. But let me try to do an intro. I'm going to read it so I don't mess up some things because she's done a lot, but at the same time, she's a flipper. She's a real estate investor just like you, but she's also loves to entertain and loves to teach because you're going to know why for a minute. But Jen Josey is a real estate investor, a coach, a national speaker, author, podcast host, and a podcast host for bestower of badassery. Bestower of badassery. And you're going to understand all this in just a second. She's known for helping entrepreneurs trade comfort for courage and embrace fearless growth. She blends humor, real world experience, and integrity driven coaching to inspire audiences. Jen's journey began in education. This is where it gets fun, teaching middle schooler music for 16 years before pivoting to the corporate world as a health insurance agent. After 5 years, she realized she was on the wrong ladder, and in 17, with her husband Vance, who we love dearly, launched a real estate investment group specializes in residential redevelopment in Raleigh, North Carolina. They later expanded into construction and investor-friendly brokerage. Jen is a founder of RAIN. She's Real Estate Investor Growth Network, a virtual mastermind for real estate investors, and certified Canfield trainer, knowledge business broker, NLP practitioner, and a certified professional life coach. She also coached for Homeschooled by Tariq and currently works with a property pro. Jen is a keynote speaker and podcast host for Comfort to Courage, of which she's excited about talking to us a little bit about, and exploring courage, renovation, and fearless growth through real, unfiltered stories. Guys, we're going to sit back. We're going to ask Jen some questions today. We're going to let her tell her story about what it's like to work with your spouse. I too work for my spouse for almost with my spouse for I really work for my spouse for 18 years, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, and it gets tough. It gets really tough. But Jen and Vance have really mastered this, and I hope we learned something from this today. I expect we will. So Jen Josey, we'll get out of the way and let you take the floor.
Well, Kelli and Susie, thank you so much for having me today. And I am just a big fan of both of you. So this is an honor to be in your presence today. So it's funny you mispronounced his name Tariq. So let me tell this story real quick. When a good friend of mine who I also met at one of those masterminds and things, Rob McIntosh, I'll give a shout out to Rob. He reached out to me one day. He's like, "Hey, have you ever thought about coaching?" And I was like, coaching. I'm like, I don't know everything about real estate. What the heck could I do? And he's like, well, there's this guy, I don't know, he's on HGTV, Tariq something. I'm like, do you mean Tariq El Musa? And he's like, yeah, that's it. I'm like, I'm in. So I was a huge fan of Tarek El Moussa. He did the show Flipper Flop, and then
Yeah.
later he divorced one woman, married a twin of her, and then they have a show together. And but that was such a fun experience of coaching alongside with Tarek and getting on some national stages, which was a great opportunity. So I am going to dive in and share my screen here. And you all were so kind in how you described my topic here. And mine's a little bit more, salty, shall we say. So I slept with my business partner, 5 systems to follow when working with your spouse. And it's a great way just to, catch people's opinion or catch attention here. So you introduced me very well. You've heard all that. I was a middle school teacher for 16 years until I woke up one day and realized I hated children. Just kidding. But then I did develop that allergy, and that kind of pushed me into going into health insurance, which I equally hated. But I'm so glad I had that corporate America experience, and it applies to our business today. So this is my husband, Vance, and we married in 2011. I married my ex-boyfriend. We dated and broke up, but we got back together and we started our business in 2017. So if you are on this call and you are like, I'm not married. Well, this still applies to you if you have a business partner, if you want a business partner, if you work with family members, you can read it here. Mainly, it's going to apply if you have a pulse, because this will then if you are a solopreneur and doing everything on your own, this will also get you super, super organized as well. Number one, so there's 5 systems really. And number one, and I'm going to go through these kind of quickly because we have some great questions. I want to get the conversation started with Kelli and Susie. But we had to do this in the beginning, was defining your roles. Because there was a time where I'm going to talk about dumpsters, ordering dumpsters, for example. And I would, Vance was running the project and everything, and before I was doing it, and I said, we need a new dumpster. And Vance would say, oh, let me put it on the list. And I'm like, no, just call the guy. The time it takes you to write it, you could text him and it could be here in an hour. So defining your roles allows you to stay in your own lane. And we are talking every aspect of your business. And I put 6 points here for 6 kind of divisions of this that apply to fix and flip. So marketing, I'm clearly the looks and the mouth of our business, but Vance is an accountant at heart, so he would be finances. But you do have to break these down even further. But like I said, it just really helps you to. I don't have to think about dumpsters now, because he's going to, when I tell him I need a dumpster, it's going to happen immediately. So it just keeps your business flowing rather quickly. So this first one, marketing, for example, you then divide each section, marketing plan. So, and you break it down even further. We call it chunking down. So budget, for example, that's going to be all Vance. I'm pretty much cover most of this, but he is going to be on the budget side of things and kind of tell me what we can spend each month. But the implementation, daily tasks, managing assistants, all that was all me. I'm not a paper person. So sometimes Vance would be more on this tracking reporting side. But again, and by the way, we put this on a list and had a pink and blue highlighter. I know that's so cheesy. And then I was pink, and we just highlighted my tasks, and then we did his, just so that we knew to separate it. So I'm going to go through this, like I said, kind of quickly. Acquisition. So leads. I was the one who was able to quit my corporate America job and run the business full time. So I had more time to get the leads, prioritize them, set the appointments, do all that. Now the contract side of things, this was more Vance, because he's the paper guy. He loves all the behind the scenes stuff. I would do the seller communication, but he would always do all the communications with the attorney or title company, depending on what state you are doing your closings. Finances. So I was like, oh, this is all Vance. But right here, this private money connections, I'm the talker, like I said. So it's one of those where I was the one developing these relationships with people, and they were believing in me and wanted to work with us because you lend money to people you know, like, and trust. But he would do all the hard money connections, which we know one of the greatest lenders out there is Rehab Wallet. So yes, absolutely. Credibility decks, those are things where I would go do presentations. But all this other stuff, bill paying, QuickBooks, what? I don't even want to look at it. So that is all Vance. Construction management. So in the beginning, I was the one who would hire the contractors. I'd be on site. We kind of did the scope of work together just to kind of talk through things. But over here was the paperwork, because there was one time I remember we hired, I think it was our concrete guy. And I said, and Vance was like, I didn't get the contract back from him yet, and was just pushing hard. And I feel like I was juggling all these different positions at once. And so I'm like, fine. And I took the blue highlighter and I put it over, and then I made him assigned to it. So my point there is, even in the beginning, when you assign roles to each other, you absolutely can adjust that later on. And then property sales, closing, marketing, etc. Business development. And we're going to get into this in another section here, but planning things together and just really having being on the same page. And business development is more that kind of foundation. So, and I'm definitely the tech support, by the way. He doesn't, he's like, wait, copy and paste what? So, anyway, this is just another section. I'm going to keep going here. All right. Part 2 is determining your time commitment and your core values, your business core values. And I coach students all day long, and core values is a point that a lot of people skip. And it is just so very important to take some time. We're talking like an entire weekend, and really discuss what's important to your business, what you want people to see your business as. So really putting that down, and we reflect on it. We did this in 2017, and we may have tweaked it a little bit, but it is still something that is very prevalent in everything that we do. But this first part, the time balance. So remember, I said I was able to quit my job. I was a school teacher. I was on a Bell schedule for years. And then I went into health insurance, where I had just a micromanager of a boss. Oh, goodness. I'm sure there's people on here who know exactly what I'm talking about, where you have to keep wiggling your mouse so that they could see that you're still working. So for me, I actually struggled with the free time that I had. I just felt really guilty if I went at like 11 o'clock in the middle of a Wednesday and went and got a pedicure. And so I had to have that conversation with Vance and say, I feel really guilty. He's like, listen, I'm in corporate America still. I absolutely will take breaks during the day if I need to go do something. So that is just part of life. So talking through those things is super, super important. And don't forget the date nights. Schedule those in, and try not to talk about business, but when it's your passion, it's hard to do anything but talk about it. So, and then here are the core values. We did these back in 2017, and integrity was definitely huge on our list. Because in real estate, this is sometimes the largest expense a family will be going through. So we want to definitely make sure that we are making it a comfortable situation. Growth. We have, as Kelli mentioned, I met her at a mastermind group, and you pay for proximity to be in the room with these people. And it's continuous growth. Our business name is Jolific, which is our last name, Josey, plus the word prolific. So it's a mesh of it. So Jolific, because we are always about pushing forward and really exercising that education muscle as much as we can. Innovation. This is one that we kind of tweaked a little bit later on. We want to provide affordable housing, but also safe homes, and include any simple technology, whether it's USB ports in the kitchen where you're going to be charging your phone, little things like that. Compassion. Oh, this is what I was talking about. So the homeownership is sometimes the biggest investment an individual can make. So we want to just be really make sure we are watching their, because it can be very scary for them. So we want to kind of hold people's hands through it. And then our drive, we always want to go above and beyond the call of duty because that's who we are. And it's not only for our clients, but also people that we work with, our contractors. It's really important to establish that when you find good contractors, y'all, you better treat them like gold, whether it's little gifts here and there, a bonus, rounding their final paycheck up or whatever it is, because they're your team members, they can make or break you. All right. This one was the shocker for both of us. We completed professional assessments. And this was, again, a while ago, but I just assumed Vance knew because he has a accounting degree that he would be in charge of all the finances and things like that. But we had to have it spelled out for us in a professional assessment. So like a third party. And that way, it was so evident where I'm like, oh, of course, this and that, because I see you. And he needed to hear it from me and have that reassurance. So this was a great step in it. One of our favorite ones was there's a Tony Robbins one. I think you got to pay like $29 for the disc test, and then the core values index. But they're just a great way to get on the same page just to see your weaknesses, your strengths and weaknesses. I'm not going to get into this, but it helps you to see how your partner works, why they work that way. And it really helps when you are then, discussing, moving forward and like, how should I approach this tough situation? The fourth one is setting goals, and we use SMART goals. And I can remember as a teacher, we had to do SMART goals at the beginning of each school year. And I was like, I don't even know these kids yet. How can I do this? And I hated SMART goals. And I would just tweak the numbers every year. And then after I got out of education, et cetera, now we're in real estate. And a dear friend of mine was speaking at one of our meetings, and she brought up SMART goals, and I was like, ugh. And it was so different because we were passionate about what we were laying out and really determining. We take this so seriously. Between Christmas and New Year's, Vance and I will travel somewhere, and it's a business write-off, and we will determine our goals for the year. And this really sets us up for our final system, is to really establish these and be super smart about it. If you, hint SMART goals. This is an older presentation, but we'll just go through this. So specific, measurable, your results attainable, relevant, and time-based. And so this was one, again, like I said, this is older. Jolific Homes will flip 12 properties, wholesale 2 properties, and increase our rental portfolio by 2 more long-term rentals and 2 more Airbnbs or short-term rentals. By the end of 2021, we will acquire them via direct mail, Facebook ads, MLS, wholesalers, and referrals. By achieving this goal, we will develop relationships with hard and private money lenders like Rehab Wallet to gain access to $5 million in funds and reduce our debt while profiting $300,000. Jolific Homes will always go above and beyond for our clients and team members because it's who we are. That is then going back into our core values and pulling it from there and really reiterating it into our goals. So specific is broken out here. And then we have measurable, just breaking this down. Attainable, we require these properties, how we're getting them. Relevant, this again ties back to our core values. And time-based by the end of 2021. And then we do personal ones. We do monthly ones, and then we will go and do personal ones. Let me just get through this. Okay. And then all of this now ties into our weekly meetings. If you take anything from today's presentation, it is set up weekly meetings. You may share a toothbrush holder with your business partner and just assume they share the same brain space you do. This is something that is an absolute must that I teach all of my students if they are working with a business partner. And I learned this from my mentor, Than Merrill, who was from Fortune Builders, if anyone knows about Fortune Builders. And they would have weekly meetings sitting in their apartment. And the three guys who originally started Fortune Builders. And we took it from there. And so we have been doing, it's just a spreadsheet. It is a very simple spreadsheet. And we can sit like in separate offices, but we do it every Sunday at 5 p.m. And we have our like different sections. So Vance does the finance report, what we have coming in, and then project updates because I'm mostly coordinating the projects. Now, you would assume you would know what the other person is doing, but by putting it in print, it definitely solidifies that so that you are absolutely on the same page. You can't assume your partner knows what you're doing day in and day out. For our new business section, we always try to keep it positive and do a win. What's a win that occurred this week? By the way, I have a huge win. We went under contract for our new build that was actually risking, I'm afraid to say this on a national call here, but we were close to foreclosure on this property, which a lot of people are kind of going through right now. That's why it's important to have great team members. Rehab Wallet, we were in communication with our lender at all times, and we did get it under contract finally, thank goodness. So huge win for us. Yes, thank you, Kelly. Hey, I say it like it is. So
Yeah.
then we have our weekly theme, like what we are focused on for the week, and then where we are stuck. And this is just a good time to kind of talk through things, even if we're not in the same area. Like if he's in his office and I'm in my office, we're completing this, I can see where he's typing, and then we can kind of be like, okay, we need to discuss this a little bit further. The next section here, these are our SMART goals. How many have we flipped? And this is an ongoing tally. And are we getting closer to our goals, our monthly goals here? One thing that's really important, how I got to meet Susie, was going to events. It is so important to get out there and get in the room with people. I did a national education program, and as soon as I found my local people in Raleigh, North Carolina, I'm neighbors with Susie over in Charlotte, our business just propelled so quickly because, when I first started, I thought, this is such a competitive industry, but it really is not. When people want to help each other so much, you do have some of the jerks out there who will steal things out from underneath you, but in whole, everyone is just wanting to pull you along. So we would share contractors, we would, pass deals to each other. So attending live events is huge. And then we would put in there also, there's another section coming up. So here's our weekly goals. And, this is a must do that I have for the week, something that I've got to get done. And that way, Vance sees how important this is a priority for me. Education, again, going back to our core values. We are always about, staying on top of things, whether it's a book we're reading, whether it's attending a webinar like you all are attending right now, fitness and wellness. Kelly, the basketball star here, knows how important fitness and wellness is. If you are not taking care of you, it's going to trickle over into your business. So whether it's, we put in here, I'm going to lose another pound this week, or I'm going to work out 4 times in the morning, or I'm going to make sure that I meditate, or whatever it is, we put it in here because it is absolutely, if it happens to you, it's applying towards your business. And then the networking events. This is where I put in, I'm going to see Susie and Charlotte at the Charlotte meetup or whatever. And then, Vance, I didn't realize Susie was going to be over there. So, or whatever it is. So we would put in our information. And this last one is the most important that we added a few years later, is this Bravo boost. Because Kelly and I discussed this quickly before we hit record before y'all came in here. Sometimes it's not easy working with your spouse, and there may be other things going on where you're like, oh, I'm so mad. He didn't take the dogs out before he left this morning, and now they're barking, and I'm trying to sleep, or whatever it is. And so a Bravo boost is ending the whole meeting on a positive note. And you have to say something nice about your business partner. And it's just a fun way because I could see him put his mouse in there like he's getting ready to type, and I'm not going to hit enter until I see what he puts in first, just to make sure that's the same. And it is on here. Okay, so here, and if there's any other extra action items, if I need to make sure that Vance does something, whatever, I can put that in here. But this is where we keep track of everything that we have done. So I could say, gosh, we were doing a lot of condos and townhomes back in the summer of 2020. What was going on there? So I can go back to our 2020 spreadsheet and go to the tabs and look at the summer months and see what we are doing marketing wise or whatever it was. So it's a great tool to go back and then reflect on things if you're ever stuck in something. So that is, I do have these. I have this on gosh, I don't even know if it's set up, but if you want to take just a screenshot of this, this is my defining roles worksheet. And again, this is applied towards fix and flip. I coach a lot of students who only do rentals or only do short-term rentals or are only private money lenders. So obviously that wouldn't apply. This is just for people who are doing fix and flip in their area. So that, well, I guess no, you could do it anywhere, but this way you can put your initials next to it, who's doing what, and even down to picking up the mail from the post office, so that I don't have to think, oh, did somebody go pick up the mail this week? I know that that's one of his jobs to do. So that's my whole presentation. I kind of flew through it just to give you a taste of it. We can open up for questions. I'm going to stop sharing here. So that's it in a nutshell.
Jen,
Yeah.
y'all don't realize Jen's coached probably thousands of people, real estate investors, and she's done it from very national stages, right? With national companies and guys that have really had TV. Like I hate that I mispronounced. I've always thought it was Tariq. So
Tariq El Moussa, yes.
Tariq.
Tariq, very good guy. Yes.
Tariq. Yeah, I mean, a lot of us, if you haven't seen it, I mean, I watched him, on TV. So with, Than Merrill, I mean, all of them, and now you're coaching for them. So this was great information. I mean, like I said, I got to jump in and because I'm itching to ask. Not coached. I worked with my spouse. Once again, we opened Rehab Wallet in 2020. I had 20 years prior to opening Rehab Wallet of entrepreneurship, right? And we fixed and flip, and we had hundreds and hundreds of rentals, and we owned everything, and multiple businesses along the way. Okay, so y'all ran it like a business, of which it didn't matter if the way you guys are running it now. Gosh, I wish I'd seen this in 2000, but because it doesn't matter if it's an employee that you're not sleeping with, or your spouse that you are, right? You running it the same way. I mean, lots of these checklists and so forth and duties feel very, very same organizationally. All right. So did you establish yourself as a CEO and maybe COO, or did you not get into those weeds? And that's the first part question. And I won't stop there. Ask you to answer that.
So on our office doors, it says Vance Josey, CFO. And then on my office door, it says Jen Josey, HBIC. Do you know what HBIC stands for? It's a bad word.
Now, head in charge.
So that is my title.
Perfect.
And you know what? And that's actually how our relationship works so well is, like I said, I'm the looks and the mouth of our business, where he takes care of everything behind the scenes. When we were working with general contractors for a long time. And I'd say, I always want to sleep with a general contractor,
Yeah.
hoping Vance would say, which one? But no, he got his GC license. So that was my trick. And I'm like, I've always wanted to sleep with a real estate agent. And so he got his real estate license because I hate taking tests. But he loves all that paperwork stuff, and he just sets the stage for me to just shine. So that is a really great dynamic of our relationship as well.
All right. What happens when, this is the second part, I wrote it down. What happens when you adamantly disagree about something that's crucial within your business? Does Jen win?
Always.
Okay.
Well, we give reasons why. And let me back this up. I will just go, 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 go. And he is just that one who puts more reason behind things and will really get me to think through it. And we've had, like I said, we were just missed a foreclosure by the skin of our teeth. And it's really put a lot of fear into our decisions of moving forward. It was I mean, I know everything's a lesson in life, but that was a very, very scary, scary lesson. We are definitely losing money on this deal. But now I'm like, I got to listen a little bit more to what he's saying, because that was one of those like, oh, we're doing that. Let's keep adding on. Let's keep doing this. So we do balance each other. And he is the voice of reason many, many, many times, but it has actually pulled us down a little bit because I too, because of that, have kind of pulled back. But moving forward, I remember having a conversation with you about, we had a quad in downtown Raleigh, which was a short-term rental. We were trying to refinance it. And we were just hitting walls on everything. It did not appraise for what we thought it would. And that was a tough decision that we ended up coming together, because he was like, we just need to drop it. And then I had to then say, yes, we do need to just end up selling it. We got rid of it, made money off it. A person who bought it is doing a lovely job with it. So it worked out. But, if that answers your question,
It
if
does.
it's,
I think we've all learned that, both. Like Vance probably would buy zero houses. I know Sunshine has said this. She would have bought zero houses in her lifetime, right? And I would buy the entire Charleston County, right?
yep,
So there's a happy medium between the two. And again, it's as Vance says, Sunshine says the same thing. My wife says, of 25 years, says, I am the voice of reason, or I'm the realistic one. Okay. And that doesn't realistic. And again, you're talking to some, different disc levels here,
yep,
or different disc, I don't know, spokes. So we would say the voice of reason, you would never buy anything and never do anything because it's a little fear based, right? And then, but us other visionaries and vision makers, I call us, right? Because we can vision something, but we're gonna go make some shit done. We're gonna get some stuff done. Well, we gotta listen. We gotta listen to that, and there's something in between that. And I've always said that somebody's got to make the final decision, right? Somebody's got to make it. I don't want to hear it 20 years from now saying, I told you so, when it doesn't work. But that we adamantly go forward together and move forward together in a collective decision, right? Because
absolutely.
once again, there's two different people involved, two different disc assessments involved,
Mhm.
and we got to go make a living, and we want to do great things, but we also got to be realistic and so forth during our decision making times, and it's just a fine line in between without getting a divorce. I
Yep,
don't know.
absolutely. Yep.
Yep.
Huge.
All right, Susie, what else we got?
Yep.
What other
Yep,
question?
we're going to open it up to some questions, and we've got some already coming in. So I loved when I had the opportunity to meet you in person. From your honest, funny, and most certainly unapologetic personality, right? Looking back at maybe one mistake you and Vance made as a business partner that maybe seemed really painful at that time, and it could be just the one you shared recently about the foreclosure. But based on that experience, what example do you have that maybe became one of your greatest lessons even today?
Well, it is definitely that one. I remember it. We were in San Juan. Do you remember, Kelly? We
Oh,
were in
yeah.
Puerto Rico. Yes, old San Juan. And I had talked to you and I said, we can't get this to refinance. And you said, let's fix this. Let's go through it. And we kept hitting these walls. And we were in a fort in Old San Juan. And it was just one of those where we decided we are going to have to let this go. And I put my heart and soul into this property. It was a beautiful 1914 building on Glenwood Avenue. If you know Raleigh, North Carolina at all, you go 5 minutes this way, walking wise, 5 minutes this way, you got some bars, you got 5 minutes this way, you got some bars. It's just a perfect location. We were short-term renting it. It was in a historic district, so we learned so much about renovating historic properties. And we put in central air and heat. If you can imagine, it didn't even have central air and heat at the time. We redid all the kitchens, and it was just a beautiful property. And I was so disappointed that we could not move forward and get it refinanced. And it was heartbreaking. But looking back, we are very grateful we didn't push it when smart lenders like Kelli saying, it's tough to get these numbers to work, and really accepting that, because if we had pushed it and just refinanced it, we would be underwater right now. And so it was one of those where, yes, we had to make that tough decision. So and for anybody listening, some of your best deals are the ones you walk away from, because it teaches you to do so much. It prepares you for your next deal, which is going to be, you're going to have different checks and balances as you're looking at it. We're down to just 2 short-term rentals. We have a mountain cabin and a beach condo, and they are just doing fabulous. We got great teams, and it's a nice, manageable, and they're making a ton of money right now. So we're really thrilled that we have that. Whereas if I just was forcing that quad, couple things, like the city of Raleigh only allows you to short-term rent 2 units if you have a multifamily. The other had to be midterm rentals, which I had to quickly learn about midterm rentals. So that was a mistake, not looking at the legislation. So overall, walking away from a deal was actually it was an asset for us, to really help us with our future deals moving forward.
Awesome. Awesome. And I wrote here, you went from hearing the bell ring to a micromanager boss in insurance to entrepreneurship. So, leaving corporate America while Vance was still working his W-2, and you've shared that you actually felt guilty having that freedom to set your own schedule. How did you navigate that season without resentment or guilt, or maybe creeping into your relationship?
Well, I mean, I did have that conversation with him. What I ended up doing backing that up, to answer your question, we had that conversation where I said, I'm like, I went and I got a pedicure today. He's like, okay, great. And where I was just in the chair, not enjoying anything, getting my toes rubbed, and just was feeling so guilty because he's sitting in an office in a meeting. And he's like, well, I went out to, happy hour on Thursday with people from work, and like, what's the difference? And so having that conversation and really just laying things out. But one thing I did do was I started time blocking, because, like I said, I was bell schedule. I had this, manager who micromanaged me. So I really just laid it out. And going back again to our core values, I would do from 7 to 9 and by the way, I would just get a little ding on my phone, and the appointment was only from 7 to 7:15. So it was like a short appointment, so I could keep the calendar open for but at least I would get the notification. So 7 to 9 was marketing. That's where it was me and Gail King just together every morning. I would go through the emails. I'd be looking up leads. I'd be addressing postcards if we were doing postcards at the time. It was just my kind of quiet time. And I would get because marketing is what makes you the money. So you get it out of the way first. From 9 to 11 was meeting with contractors, getting supplies, going on site. And so I would drive around. I'd be picking up faucets, picking up a light fixture, delivering it, interviewing contractors. And it would be very helpful if I needed a new painter for my team, for example, and we would want to set up an appointment. I'd say, okay, I can do Wednesday morning at 9 or Thursday morning at 9. Which one works best for you? So you give them 2 options, but I know without even having to look in my calendar that it's already spaced out for them during that time. 11 to 12, and this goes back to Susie, what you were saying, was Gen time. That was my flex hour where I could do whatever I wanted, and seeing it in my calendar, knowing that Vance can see it too, just made me feel like, okay, I have my time. If I want to go walk around Target and look at things, I can do it. But if I'm at a project and it runs late into it, that took up my flex time, which was perfectly fine. 12 to 1 was lunch. 1 to 3 was education. And that was watching webinars, reading books, listening to podcasts, doing whatever. Or if there's another project or something going on, if I need to, design this, I kind of do it during that time. 3 to 5 was set for appointments. because Vance could always sneak out of his job a little early. So if somebody was to call from our marketing material and say, "Hey, I got your postcard. I'd like to set up an appointment." Wonderful. Would Thursday at 3 p.m. or Friday 3 p.m. work for you? And you give them two options because I wouldn't even have to look at my calendar, go through it. Boom, I knew that's when we could do it. We'd have dinner between like 5 and 7, but then 7 to 9 were for meetups. And we tried to do at least one meetup a week to get to know other people in our area. And if not, it became date time or just TV, time, etc. So mapping all of that out was a huge step, and that he could see my calendar. We shared calendars, obviously, and took that guilt off for my 11 a.m. Pedicure or, lunch with friends or whatever it is.
Good.
Perfect. All right, we got another question coming in. What is your process for handling super deep disagreements, or do you have an agreed upon neutral third party that you ask to break the ties? Love that.
Well, I'm always right. No, I mean, we will talk through things. And this goes in that stuck column. If there's something going on or we're, disagreeing about things, but then, later on in that weekly meeting, we have that Bravo boost where we can kind of talk through things. So, I'm a hothead, so I do need some time to kind of chill out a little bit. And he is typically the one who will come to me and say, "Okay, we need to talk through this." But, having that there are some times where rarely that we'll skip that weekly meeting, like if we're on a vacation or if we're at a conference or something, and we can really notice it the next week. And just keeping that communication open, I guess, is really what will answer that question and kind of sets us up to not have huge blowout disagreements on things. So
Yeah, I think that's key. You guys are running it. I think what happens when partners and husbands, wives, when we start a business together, we just see it as that. And so instead of it running it like an organization needs to be the same. And you would have these meetings with Sam and Jane and Sally, employee 1, 2, and 3. Why don't you do the same thing with just your spouse? And I think you run it, the people have, and I've seen it, of which we did at the very beginning, run it very, I don't not call it a hobby, but you're not really running it through the the true business scheme
start.
of things.
Yeah.
And I think it's smart if you go ahead at the jump, start it out like that with roles, with labels. And there has to be a CEO. It's like at Rehab Wallet. There's times when we will collectively, I absolutely will listen to all the directors' feedback. But I know that I have to make the final decision. Whether it is the right decision or wrong with it, I will have to lay on that sword. And the reason is because when investors, you know, they're looking at Kelli, right? They're looking at Kelli to get they just are. And I know that, and I will have to make that final decision and just live with that. And I think we have to establish that in a business as well, whether you're with your partner or not. I think you can get by the first few years, like you said, between the meetings. The meetings will probably conquer that and not have so many adamantly different decisions and the core values from the jump. You know who you married, who you're dating, you know who you're with, you know those core values going in, so you know a little bit more of what their expectations are, and ultimately, you can make some decisions. It's like, where do you want to go eat dinner? Well, I don't care. Well, I don't care. So who makes those decisions, right?
We have
Ultimately,
a die.
you figure it out.
We have this like 12-sided die that has all these different types because that's every day we're like, what are we going to eat? And then we have to roll the die. Oh, we're having salads today. But Kelli, you did. I also want to reinforce the defining your roles. That really took out a lot of the decision making and the arguing because I knew he was the one who was, talking, he was turning on the utilities for the rental property we just bought. I'm the one booking the guests or doing that. So, that really got rid of all of that argument. We would do scope of works together. I'm designing. If there's a design flaw, that's all on me. So there is no, we take the blame. So that really got rid of a lot of the disagreements in the beginning was determining
Ultimately,
our roles.
I think that yearly we did this. We did the same thing. the yearly go out of town, go really make your goals for the year. That is really where, should we grow? Oh, I'm scared. Oh, should we pull back? Oh, let's buy this. Let's go into another region, another area. Nope, let's not. I'm too scared. That's where, and you kind of at that time is where you make those big broad
Yep.
goals for the year. And maybe that's where some disagreements come in. But get out of the house and go into maybe go somewhere super nice or wherever, like you go on vacation, get a few drinks and just figure it out.
That's right. A neutral place where it's new to both of you and you sit down together and you
Yep.
determine those goals is
Yep.
huge. And
Yep.
throwing out new stuff all the time. I love that. A direction we're looking at right now because we just had this new build that we thought, oh, we're going to make tons of money on this, and it was a nightmare for us. We're now looking, and this is why we've been talking to Susie a lot, is looking at manufactured homes because in the world right now, we need affordable housing.
Right.
And again, reflecting on our core values, what do people need? How can we help them? And Rehab Wallet is one of the only lenders out there who deal with manufactured homes. So that's just another one of our goals, a direction that we were going. We were super hot and heavy in the fix and flip in the beginning. Then we went to long-term rentals. Then we did short-term rentals. And then we did multifamily, which also was not a fun experience for us. And we got out of that, but lesson learned. And now we are focused on a different direction. And that's another great thing about real estate is there's just so many different options and it's ever changing. And that when people and going to your local events and everybody's doing it's not pie. Like you get one piece of the pie, you get one of the piece of the pie, and the pie is gone. Everybody gets pie because there's just so many different opportunities in this industry.
100%. 100%.
Awesome. I've got a couple more. Today, you built a real estate investment company, rental portfolio brokerage, construction company, mastermind, podcast, and speaking career. How do you know when it's time to say yes to another opportunity or when it's smart to say not yet?
So coaching right now during the summer is very slow. And so I have a little extra time on my hands and I started a t-shirt company because
I've
I
seen
am,
that online. Yes. I
and
love them.
it's just one of those things where I'm like, I wear funny t-shirts all the time. It's part of my shtick. When I'm on stage, I will like I emceed an event recently and I would rotate my t-shirts and it was just I'm like, why am I not making money off this? And it's just a print as you go type thing. So I'm always looking like one of those start it and it just keeps snowballing on itself. So how do I know when to say no? I mean, I really go to my gut feeling a lot. And like I said, Vance is the voice of reason in many things, just like Sunshine is. And, really bouncing it off and talking it through. And like, yeah, we don't need to go this route ever again. That for us was multifamily or really just buying in the area where we were, lessons that we learned. So, I guess I forgot the whole question here was
When do you,
how do I say no?
yeah, when do you want to say no? Or you think it's
And sometimes it totally flops too. Another huge shift that I've made recently is I was doing my RAIN podcast, which I had the honor of interviewing Kelli. RAIN, which is Real Estate Investor Growth Network podcast, all real estate investors. It's actually will be hit my 7th anniversary of I think it's Thursday of this week is when but I just ended it.
Yeah.
So I'm rebranding that podcast to Comfort to Courage. And now I've opened it up to all different types of people who have looked at, and this applies to real estate investors who are looking fear in the face, pushing out of their comfort zone and how they get to the other side of that comfort zone. But I get to interview people of all different types. I'm interviewing a gentleman who is in rehab right now. I'm interviewing a sex therapist. We're going to talk about shame, just super fun things. And that is only going to open more doors. So the real estate podcast was just starting to be like the same people over and over again, looking for people to buy into their syndication deals. And it was just getting monotonous. I met amazing people, but again, it was time to make that decision to shift and move forward. And, Vance definitely talked me through it. Claude, my AI best friend, also talked me through it. So it's just, you got to lean on each other when you are doing these important decisions. The t-shirt company was just one of those, like, I think I'm going to start a t-shirt company.
No, I think it's a great idea. You're known for that, Jen. You're known for that
Yes.
on stages. So, why not do it? Because there's other people that would, buy into that. Or regardless, again, you can put what you want on there instead of having to go buy something for somebody else too. I think it's a great idea.
Exactly. And it's shopwittygoods.com if you all need some funny t-shirts.
Well, good. Yeah, see it. It's
Perfect.
either on your shirt, which is super smart. Witty goods.
I love it. I love it. So before we tell our audience how to get in touch with you, I've got one last question. Who apologizes first after a
Vance.
disagreement?
100% Lance.
Okay.
I'm a hothead, you all, so absolutely. But again, another reason why I married him, I grew up in a family where you never apologized and you're mad at each other, you brush under the rug. And he has really taught me to learn how to apologize and move forward. But he is typically the one who will apologize first. But I have definitely been wrong many, many times. So just,
I
lean in
love
on
that
each
you
other.
guys end your meeting with the Bravo boost. I'm
I
definitely
like that too. A
taking
lot.
that back.
A lot.
It's so hard, right? You get so focused and you want to get through what in some cases the important, the big stuff. But I think that Bravo boost is what keeps us going. Now I'll show up for the next meeting. So
Yep,
that's
absolutely.
great. So we're going to let all of our audience know how to get in touch with you. If somebody wants to connect with you directly, how do they get in touch with you?
Well, the easiest way is therealjenjosey.com, Josey. On there, if you have a great story where you went from comfort to courage and you want to be on my podcast and share your story, you can join from there. I have some blog posts on there. You can also, if you want to look into my mastermind, and it's just a very, it's a true mastermind where I'm not educating you. I do bring in monthly speakers, and it's all virtual. But we also do a mid-month mastermind where we have a topic. So we talked about burnout last month, and everyone's contributing because the smartest person in the room is never as smart as all the people in the room. So I do love the mastermind. You can go to rainmastermind.com. We're also doing a trip to Greece, a Rain sponsored trip to Greece where we are looking for investors. I think it's $2,300 per person, and it's all include. Maybe it's $3,300. Sorry, I don't know off the top of my head, but it's an all-inclusive trip where you are traveling on buses going from different locations in Greece with your real estate investors, and you are having that experience together. And you're not sitting in conferences all day long listening to someone talk. You're actually experiencing the world together. So I specifically designed it that way. Talk to your CPA on how to write that off correctly because it's 100% networking. And you can find the Greece trip on the rainmastermind.com website. So that's all my
Excellent.
real estate stuff. TheRealJenJosey.com is more speaking and podcast things.
Thank you so much. Can't thank you enough. What a treat. This will be available for everybody that signed up for a replay. We're also going to share it at Rehab Wallet's social media as well. We do have, and I want to announce our upcoming host. We are typically this mastery is the first Monday of every month. Next month in September with Labor Day, it falls on a holiday. So we're going to do it the second week. So it'll be on September the 14th, same time, 11:30. We're going to have Trevor West as our guest. So Jen, can't thank you enough. We are delighted that you spent this hour with us.
Thank you.
Trevor
Thank you
West,
so
you
much.
all is fantastic. You're going to love him. And Kelly and Susie, thank you so much for having me today.
You're welcome. Thank you so
We
much.
appreciate you. Tell Vance we said hey, okay?
Tell Sunshine hello.
I will. Y'all be good. Talk to you soon.